Morning, YouTube. Um, this particular topic that I'm gonna address is going to be quite interesting, and it's going to have layers to it. Okay. Um, it's the most unpopular popular topic that is brought up on various occasions, depending on where the discussion lies. Okay. And it's going to be based on my experience with the gay community. Okay. But before I get into my thoughts about it, I just wanted to say this based on my personal belief about things. And you can take it how you want to. I really don't care. But the way I see things stands as is. I get where people are coming from when it comes to certain things in our society that is forced upon us. And if it is not accepted, you are labeled certain things as a racist, a homophobe, or a womanizer, or whatever it is that they use as a weapon to define you. Okay? And depending on the circumstances, it may be justified, but overall, it isn't. It isn't. Because you cannot force someone to like something that they don't. The main thing that I think people get confused with is that just because someone doesn't like something, such as a person or their lifestyle or their beliefs or whatever, you don't have to like it and you shouldn't be forced to like it. But to balance it all out, you do have to have a certain level of respect. A person who is white do not have to like a black person, and a person who is black does not have to like a white person. A female does not have to like a male, and a male doesn't have to like a female. A straight person doesn't have to like a person who was gay, and a gay person doesn't have to like a person who was straight. You don't have to like. But what it all boils down to is how you respect one another. Okay? People have a right to, what they accept and what they don't accept. You can't force shit upon them just because you feel that the transition has to be applied to those just so people can get their way. And that's where this conflict of discussion, when people are having resistance, I'll say in the straight community, against people in the gay community, when they feel that, especially when it comes to the children, and I agree 100% with this. People talk about how racism is taught. Okay? That when the kid comes into this world, they don't have prejudices, they don't have stereotypes, they don't have racism in their blood. When they get older, all of what they've been exposed to, all of which they have been experienced, and depending on their demographics or their household, the learning process reflects in their behavior and their outlook. Okay? That this has been argued for some time now when dealing with that particular subject in reference to racism. Now, you're seeing the same thing when it comes to people forcing things down our kids' throat in reference to the gay community. and the transgenders and all of that. You know, it's like kids can't even be kids to grow up in the ideal normal before they are granted the choice to make for themselves, not what's pushed on them. But when they come, they don't even know what they want to be in regards to, how should I put this, a career. So if a kid doesn't know career wise or what they want to be when they grow up until they've experienced the world, how do they know in regards to identity based on sexual orientation what they are attracted to? You see what I'm saying? But if you indoctrinate or condition them to be persuade to, oh well, if my little boy is appears this certain way, um I'm gonna push him towards being feminine and whatever and doing all this. Or my girl, I'm gonna push her towards being manly and this and this and this and that. And and it's like, that's the time when adults especially need to take a step back, observe their kids, let them come into their own. Because it's the same mistake when a kid wants to be a musician or something like that, but the parent says, no, 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 I want you to be an athlete. Or the girl wants to go into performing arts. No, 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 no. You got to be a cheerleader. Let the kids make decisions for themselves without people influencing them and pressuring them to be as or be accepting of. Leave that up to them to have that option of a choice. Then when they become teenagers or they become adults and they decide that they want to be bisexual or gay or transgender, the choice is up to them, not what we pushed upon them. I mean, we used to talk about peer pressure, right? And how that done messed up people and influenced them to do the wrong things and make bad decisions or poor choices or choices that they made that they felt they didn't have any control over because of the indoctrination and the pressure and the conditioning. Now, with me saying that, people might translate it, attack me and say, oh, those talking points sound like someone who was homophobic to have a thing against people who are gay. And this is where I'm going to start my discussion. Okay. My sister, and if ever there's a point when she comes down to visit me from Houston, she is gay. The things that she had to deal with, and I give her so much credit. She's, number one, black. Number two, a woman. And number three, gay. Okay? And I broke it down intentionally just like that. I broke it down by color. I broke it down by gender. And I broke it down by her sexual orientation based on how she lives her lifestyle. Okay? I love my sister. I have nothing against my sister. If anything that I would have a problem in regards to my sister is her bad attitude. But there are a lot of factors relating to her, which is why she acts the way she does. It is what it is. But regardless of the fact, I accept her. Another example is my late son's mother. who passed away earlier this year from a heroin overdose. She struggled with addiction. And that's a thing that's still surreal to me. And I haven't really dealt with it, to be quite honest with you. She herself, when I met her, I come to find out that she was bisexual. She liked women and she liked men, you know? And for a heterosexual male, that's their dream come true. Hey, you know what? I have a female who like females and she messes around with men too. Huh. Pandora's box. I'm on a kiddie playground. But the hypocrisy giving that example is that there seems to be only selective acceptance. See, when it benefits certain people, that's when they're accepting of. When it don't benefit people, they are against it. Told you this is going to have layers. And it's going to be crazy because my talking points come from many perspectives and how people look at this particular subject matter. My third example is my daughter. And I'm bringing her up because there was a question asked to me by my girlfriend in regards to our son. My daughter, who I have 2 granddaughters by, about to have another grandchild, she went through a phase where she liked girls, right? Her mom said, well, what do you think about your daughter liking girls, you know? It's her choice. If that's who she prefers to be with, if that's who she chose and that person makes her happy and protects her and treats her with respect, I don't have a say in that. That is her choice. I cannot make that choice for her. That is the beauty of life. We have our own life to live and we make our own choices. But unfortunately, the way this world is, people feel that they are entitled to make choices for us to benefit them. And that's where the problem and the friction lies. Now, to get to the question that my son's mother had, my son that I have now, that was just born, she said, how would you feel if your son grows up gay? I mean, how would you treat him? Like my fucking son. There is no love lost because of who my son decides to be with. For any heterosexual male, of course you will want your son to go after females, get married, have grandchildren. It's the tradition. It was, an overall culture that was embraced at one point. Now, it's in a state of confusion. And I'm not saying in a state of confusion that people who are of the gay community are confused and whatever, but the confusion lies where they identify as this. And they hold people's foot to the fire because they don't appropriately address them as such. Dave Chappelle touched upon that, which was funny in this manner, but yet still people got offended, missing the point. And people poke at it, like say, oh, you identify as this today? Okay, well, I'm a poor black man, but tomorrow I'm going to identify myself as a rich white dude who live in Hollywood. I can identify all I want to as, but that doesn't make it so. And that particular example right there draws a lot of unwanted controversy, and people will get mad. But here's the other thing, and this is getting back to the respect aspect of this discussion. Me personally, to each his own. I don't care what choice you make in life in regards to your lifestyle. It is none of my business. I have no control over it. I have no say over it. What you do is your prerogative. But you cannot force me to accept something, whether I do or don't, just to make you feel comfortable. Because your level of comfortable might make somebody else uncomfortable. And just like you say that, well, just because you're uncomfortable, that's not my problem. Well, it's not their fucking problem either. A person who is gay that likes the same sex, right? A straight person can't force them to be straight or like girls if they are two guys. If they're a guy and they like guys, or vice versa, if it's female who likes females, you can't force that female to like a male if that's not what she's interested in. So why does it seem like the pressure now seems to be put on the straight community to, I don't know. It's like, accept it or else. Like there's a threat behind it. You see what I'm saying? And then they try to trip you up with certain talking points to see where your head is at. And some people aren't complicated like that. Some people just look at the individual as such. If you're a good person, despite what your sexual orientation, people 9 times out of 10 don't give a damn. It's how you represent yourself as a person. They could care less if you're sleeping with the same sex or doing all sorts of stuff that's weird in the eyes of others or whatever. But when you come across with a fucked up attitude and hypocritical and judging others and putting others down because they are not like you, case in point, and I've always wondered this when I be, again, going down the rabbit hole of YouTube, how can you be gay, talk about all the things that it was stacked against you, the discrimination, and all the difficulties you had to face growing up, maybe in the household or in society and things like that. I would think, and I said this with black people as well, you would think by everything that was stacked against you, that would have made you humble to not go and look down on other people. But instead, what it has done was develop a sense of arrogance and entitlement to where that same behavior that you are against, that you speak out on, that is a problem for you because of how it affects you, is the same behaviors that you inflict on others. And when I say what I don't understand about some people who are gay, how the fuck can you be gay and be racist? That's like an oxymoron, so to speak. Better yet, that's being hypocritical. Because people probably going to get technical with the terminologies and shit. You know, going with the semantics and whatever, trying to be politically correct. But it's, I don't know. But how I feel about the gay community, I don't have anything against people who are gay. To me, they're just people with a different lifestyle apart from mine. Okay? It boils down to respect and respecting other people. But this indoctrination and this agenda that's being placed on our kids is something that I do not agree with. Take it for what it's worth. As I said before, I believe children, when they grow up, should come into their own. If they decide to grow up and be straight, hey, that's their choice. If they grow up and decide to be gay, hey, that's their choice. But we can't just sit there and force stuff down people's throats. Now people are going to talk about, well, it's funny how you're saying that, but the only reason why we're bringing awareness, because that's what they're going to use, the term awareness. Like, how can you not be aware of somebody that stands out? More so, what you should do is have a class based on respecting each other as people, not just because of race, not just because of ethnic origins or sexual orientation and preferences like that. Why don't you try teaching a class based on respect? There's a difference. And then I think people will be a little more open to how they perceive and look and accept people when you talk about teaching respect. I mean, I don't think that's too far-fetched or unreasonable request. But I don't know. Like I said, I talk like I in these videos as if I'm talking to people that I just met, and just decided to sit down, have a discussion, and that's it. You know. My perception is my perception. However people might look at this, that's their right to have their perception as well. Hear what I just said? That's their right to have their perception as well. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not asking you to agree with me. That is your choice. That is the privilege that you have. But the problem is the privilege that other people are granted, they don't want other people to exercise that same privilege. And that also is a problem. But anyway, I'm not going to keep y'all too long. It was just something that I was thinking about, and I was talking to my sister the other day when she had called, and we had a long conversation because we haven't spoken in a minute, and we were talking about that. And to be quite honest, she said, you know what? I agree with you. You know what? She goes, it was my choice, and it was nothing that people forced upon me. But aside from that, hey. But anyway, until next time, until next video,